That's the telephone. I'll answer it.
No, I must count them.
Yeah,
Two rings.
I have to answer the phone there.
No, I am counting the rings. Three rings.
Hauntcast Bone Phone.
Prank calling me on the bone phone is Amanda from Amanda Revenge Haunting. Hey, Amanda.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey. I think we did meet several years ago, though I don't think we talked. It was at a Dave and Buster's gathering. It was somewhere a couple of years ago, and I think we all went out for dinner.
The Chinese food place.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, I was hanging out with like Warren and Rob and Vic and
the
rest of the people I don't think I knew. But anyway, so let me ask you, so how did you end up getting into haunt acting? So
about 12-ish years ago now, I really wanted a job. And I started out in theater, so I didn't want like a normal job. I wanted like a theater job. So I was like, all right, let's find like a theater job. Oh, there is none. What about this haunted house stuff? So there's a place called Nightmare in New England and Spooky World up in Litchfield, New Hampshire. I was walking in there to go play some mini golf one day, and I saw the big poster for Nightmare in New England at that time, and I was like, oh, that looks super scary. I am never going there, because I was very, very afraid of haunts. So what happened was, a couple weeks later, I was supposed to have an interview at a different haunted house, and on the day that I was supposed to have my interview, I found out that they had shut down their doors for good. I sat there, I was like, what am I going to do now? Oh yeah, that poster. So I ended up calling them, I actually called them about 14 times in the matter of like 1 week. I was like, hey, because they wouldn't answer. By the time somebody got back to me, I was on the bus on my way home from school, and they were like, hey, like, can you come down today? I was like, yep, I'm there. So I came down the day before they opened, and the next day they were opening their doors, and the rest is kind of history.
They said, hey, can you come down today? We want to give you a restraining order because you keep calling us.
Yeah, you keep calling us, so we want to tell you not to ever call us again.
It's a little stalkerish, just letting you know.
I was really excited. I was like, please answer your phone. One of my friends had already had a job there, so he was just like, yeah, just keep calling. So I was like, all right, if you say so, I'm going to call like 3,000 times until somebody answers. Because I knew that they were opening very soon. I was like, I got to know what I'm doing. So when I started, I had no formal training. Nobody showed me what to do. I showed up, and I was, 1, terrified of haunted houses, 2, extremely socially awkward, and 3, I'd never had a job before in my entire life, so I was really just winging it off the cusp. When I was kind of trying to walk around and get ready, and nobody knew where I was going, because I was kind of like a last-minute hire. And then like one of my now good friends, Todd, but my first manager, walked up and he's like, hey, do you have somewhere to go? And I said, no. And he goes, you're with me now. And then when they brought us through the entire haunt, I had my eyes shut the entire time, so I had no idea what was going on in anything. So yeah, that was my very first haunt experience.
So what was your character?
So we were in a haunt called Buried Alive, and essentially the park, so Nightmare New England, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's on like a big family-friendly park. So they have mini golf, go-karting, a driving range, and then they have batting cages and the arcade. Well, Buried Alive was on the arcade, or in the arcade. They took all the games out and put Buried Alive, the haunt, in there. And what had happened was they used to make you go through one haunt at a time out of 4 attractions that they had. So you would start in Buried Alive, and then you would go through Raven's Claw, which was their cemetery. And then you would go in the 3D Freak Show, and then into a haunt called Sleep Stalkers, which was like their hospital, insane asylum type of haunt. So opening weekend, we actually had riots in the haunt like right outside of Buried Alive because of the extremely long line that went all the way down from one end of the park to the very other end of the park. Like it was like touching the exit of the last haunt. So people were coming in and running into the line to get into the first attraction. So they all started rioting. And my manager looked at me, looked at this other kid, and threw us in the queue line. And I've been there in the queue line ever since. So that was like really my first, and my very, very first scare was actually me swearing at someone. Like they scared me, so I sweared, which scared them. And then I heard them go around the corner and be like, "Are they supposed to swear at you?" I was like, "Nope, probably not." But nobody told me not to at that time.
See, no, you didn't tell me I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I was like, nobody told me, but I was like,
gave me the handbook, the employee handbook. I didn't know what to do.
Which was crazy. They didn't have me look over like any handbook until like they realized I hadn't got one. So it was like the next week. But like I wasn't told like not to say boo, which surprisingly I never said boo because I was always trying to figure out how to scare people without just screaming in their face.
Yeah, that's worse than swearing at somebody. Saying,
yeah. Boo, get out, fresh meat, come play with me. I've never said come play with me, even though I play a little girl character, which brings me into my next point, which was I developed a little girl character my first year there in 2008. Which has been now my iconic, most requested character that I play. Her name is Demonia. She didn't get a name until 2009, though. So it was just unknown little girl number one for 2008 year one. So it was kind of I saw they had a bunch of little kids going through the haunts, and I'd always kind of feel bad for them because I was like, oh man, they don't even want to be here right now. So I started doing some research on how to scare the parents without scaring the little kids. So I started coming up with these nursery rhymes that the beginning was like regular. So the kids would hear the beginning. And I read that kids in new environments like that are hectic, loud, and have lights, if they hear something that they've already seen, they're going to jump to something else that they don't know to try to like figure it out. So I had read that. I was like, oh, let's start it like this. So I started it like that. And then the ending of these nursery rhymes were just brutal. So, for example, Mary had a little lamb. Her fleece is red as blood. So I started developing my character based off of those lines. And she's been with me ever since. I can't get rid of her, no matter how hard I try.
So somebody over the years must have been influential to... teaching you some skills or helping you become a better actor.
So I was extremely lucky. My first year of haunting, Mike Krauser and Bad Boys Scenic Design was involved in that haunt for many years. So I learned a lot of things from them. And then in 2009, the Spooky World crew came in, so I learned a lot from Brian Chamberlain, Sean Chamberlain, Bill with one L, who are Bruce, who plays a character called Lobo. It was very influential back in the Spooky World days. He used to do Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the Spooky World hayride, so I hadn't known all that, and then like learning about that whole crew, I was like, man, these guys are super legendary. We have a lot to learn from them. So I started like watching them, and I was like, oh, you can do this way. And then from there, I just started developing my own tools and tricks and trades. And then we were all working together, and it was just like in 2009, there was just this magical thing that happened where they just integrated me into their crew. So I got to like really see the ins and outs of like their lives and how they were doing makeup. And then the makeup team from Nightmare New England, Jess and Amy, took me on and taught me a ton about makeup. And so I was just extremely lucky to start where I started.
Outside of Nightmare New England, where else have you worked?
So after Nightmare New England, I just started traveling and doing a bunch of things. So I went actually to Fright Kingdom in Nashua, New Hampshire. They have an amazing crew there. I was lucky enough to intern a little bit and build Dark Hour Haunted House in Plano, Texas. I was on the original build staff for them. So I was working with Alan Hops and that crew. And then I was very fortunate to keep going out to guest act and do some promotional stuff with them. And I do this thing where they have like this giant wheel that you spin that goes around and around for when they do conventions and stuff like that. So I always in character Vanna White the wheel.
Nice.
So they have pictures of me with the
wheel of misfortune. Would that?
Yeah, basically the wheel of misfortune, or like a couple very fortunate stuff. Like you can win free tickets off their wheel and stuff. So that's always really fun. And then I've done this thing where I go and I do consulting for haunts, and I do actor training and makeup training and management. So I've worked with Brighton Asylum in New Jersey. I've worked with, I did some guest acting at the Dent Schoolhouse in Ohio, which was really cool. Necromanor in Louisiana. So just been kind of all over the board, just traveling and seeing and going to as many haunts as I can, and trying to learn something also from every haunt that I go to, because even though that people are like, oh, you're an expert, I hate that term. I feel like if I'm an expert, I'm going to stop learning. So I always just try to learn as much as I can wherever I go. And I try to take away something. And usually the thing I take away is a lot of friends, which has been really, really awesome.
So is that what you're doing now? I mean, with your business, you're just kind of traveling all over?
Yeah, so with Amanda Revenge Haunting, what I'm doing with that now is I'm traveling. So haunts can message me through my website or my Facebook, and message me if they want training, consulting, escape room build, management training, scenic design. I can also do stuff from home, just like design one of your sets, and then you can go build it. So I have like a lot of options for haunts. I can do like consulting and stuff. So I'm working with several haunts, trying to get their attractions up and going, and seeing how much I can help them in the short time that I have with them, or the long time that I have with them, depending.
I haven't been able to get to many of the mass make and takes or anything like that. And I think you had, when Ghoulie was still open, you had come down and you had done a make and take on character creation, I think it was. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. What's your process on creating characters or coming up with an idea for a specific character?
So character creation is depending on a couple of things. So the very first thing that anyone, if you want to create a character, is what you want to do, especially for all you people who aren't owners and are just actors. Working for attractions, is you want to check with your owner to see what it's okay to do. I've seen a lot of young actors create this character, and then their owners are like, hey, that doesn't fit in with the storyline. So you really want to ask your owners first, beyond anything, of what you can do, and be like, hey, I want to create a character. Is that okay? And usually they'll give you some guidelines, or some owners might say, go ahead. Or if you're an owner, you have complete range of what you do with your attraction. So your very first step is knowing your backstory, knowing where you want to take the character. So for example, like if I am in a mansion, right, let's say I'm in a mansion haunted house, and my assigned placement is I'm in the kitchen, right? So I know that's my assigned placement. I know I'm in the mansion of a haunted house. My next step is what kind of character do I want to create? So a lot of people would go for like the cook, But me, I have a thing where I want to be unique and stand out. So maybe I'm a dead kid who got caught eating all the food. Maybe I'm Grandpa still sitting at the kitchen table demanding my cake as a shout out to Creepshow, you know? Maybe I am a maid who dropped all the food on the floor while going out to serve it. You know, what am I in this environment? That's kind of my step 1, or step 2 rather. Step 3 is looking at yourself and being like, okay, what does this character look like? Do they have long hair? Do they have short hair? What are they wearing? What kind of shoes do they wear? And then what's their makeup look like? Am I dead? Am I alive? If I'm dead, how did this character die? In what ways did they die? Why did they come back? So I look at all of that, and then from there, I create an entire backstory that includes the look of the character, and I write it down on paper.
So basically, the more elaborate of a backstory that you create for your character within the concept of the overall backstory, like probably the richer your character is.
Yes.
Is that kind of? I'm not sure if richer is the right word.
So the more involved your character is, and the more story that you have, customers may never see your backstory. Right? They might get 30 seconds with your character. Or if you're out in the queue lines, they might get more time with your character, which in this case, your character should be very evolved for that backstory. The more backstory you have, the easier it is to actually come up with lines for your character. If you look at the lines you want to tell people, I'm going to kill you, is super boring. Like, it's a promise that you can't keep, and it doesn't give a memorable impression on your customers, and it won't leave a lasting impact on yourself or that person that you just scared. Now, if you are in character, and let's say I am the maid in this haunted house in the kitchen, you can come up with a line like, you just spilled all the food all over the floor. Yeah, that's it. You did. And you could accuse them, involving them in your storyline, and scare them because you are blaming them in an aggressive manner. Even though they know they didn't do it, you're involving them and they're interacting with the storyline.
Great. It's bringing them into the scene.
Yes, you're bringing them into that environment and immersing them into your world. Because people go to haunted houses to escape. They go to haunted houses to get scared, to escape, and to be entertained. You bringing them into your environment is giving them so much entertainment and making them escape. And for a moment, they really believe you are this person doing this thing to them. So that's kind of how I like to play on things. And, the sky's the limit. I like to say that every haunter and every person, whether you're inside or outside, should be able to be in the queue line. If you have a haunted house full of ready-to-go queue line actors, your haunted house is going to be super awesome.
So obviously, because there is a complete difference, you're not jumping out or popping out from behind something when you're in the queue line. How do you handle a character differently in the queue? So your queue line, for one, you have to be very, very good on your improv skills. Working in a haunt, I find you also have to be good on your improv, but in the queue line, like, you have to own your improv skills. Like, start watching Whose Line Is It Anyways now if you want to be in the queue line. Because not only do you have to be, for one, picture perfect, because people will take pictures or videos of you from all sides, and you are being watched at all times. So, like, let's say, for example, in the haunted houses that I've been to, I've caught actors on their phones. Right? They pull out their phones, they get bored, they're like, I don't want to
in the queue line, as an actor, you cannot pull out your phone whatsoever, you know? Like, people will take a picture and video of that, so you have to be that character and leave your outside world behind completely while in the queue line. You also have to be great at improv because you will hear every line in the book. When I go into season, I have to research, like, trends for the year, so I know what's going to be said to me in the queue line. So, for example, a couple of years ago, it was, "What are those?" And people would point at your shoes. I actually researched that. I was like, okay, where does this come from? How can I use this to my advantage? I know it's going to be said to me 3,000 times. So, like, people are like, "What are those?" And every single one of my characters was like, "Shoes?" And just looked at them like they were confused. And they were like, So I immediately took the fun out of their trying to heckle the actors.
It makes me think about when I was a kid. I was a real wise ass, and I was always trying to figure out how to, like, bust on people, or when anybody ever ripped on me and I didn't have a comeback, I thought about it later and figured out at least 2 to 3 comebacks for that. So the next time I would lead somebody into, like, trying to rip on me with the same line, and I had like 3 lines ready to go. So it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you have to kind of, like, figure out at the end of your set, like, that.
Yes.
Okay, what comments didn't, like, threw me off my game?
Yes.
What didn't I have? And figure out comebacks, because you know you're going to have people coming in the next night and the next night saying the same shit to you, right?
Yeah. And the only time I've ever been surprised was because I'm originally from New England, and, you know, in New England, everybody says New England people are very harsh and they're more harsh. Well, everybody is right. We're super harsh down there, right? Like, you're not lying. But we're also super on top of our games and stuff until I go to Texas. So in Texas, I'm used to being berated by customers in New England, like, trying to be all pompous and getting in my face. The first time I acted in Texas, I had a customer thank me. They're like, "Oh, I scared them," and they thanked me legitimately. And I had literally no comeback for that. Like, I was like, "What do I do? This person just thanked me." I was like, I don't know what to do.
I can't handle this politeness. I don't know what to do with this.
I was like, this is too polite for me. I'm out. See you later. Like, I had no idea what to do. What do you say to that? If anyone listening has a good response to thank you, please let me know. Because in that moment, and to this day, I was like, what do I do when they thank me? I can take them giving me a bunch of crap, but you thank me? Oh, game's over, man. Like, just kidding. But no, that was the only time I can remember being visibly like, like, very just caught off guard. But it takes a lot to catch me off guard nowadays, because I hear things like, when I play my little girl character, Demonia, people are like, "Oh, I'll be your daddy," because the whole daddy trend or whatever. And so Demonia says, "Ew, first of all, that's necrophilia. Then that's pedophilia. And if you count my Mr. Bear, that's bestiality." Now, depending on my audience there, so the older crowd will get that one. And then the younger crowd will get, "Ew, that's gross. I already have one." So they'll get that. So it's also watching your crowd with your comebacks, because something I'd say to a 14-year-old is not going to be the same thing I say to a 35-year-old who's drunk and belligerent saying that stuff. So it's knowing your audience. That's my biggest tip on that one. Know your audience, know who you're performing for, and put on the show that you would want to see.
Yeah, so don't try to just use the same line every time, because you should make sure that you have a few variations depending on age and gender or whatever. Yeah.
Also, just having all those comebacks and stuff keeps things fresh for you as an actor, because you're acting depending on how long the haunt is open for, from anywhere between like 6:30 p.m. to midnight. Some haunts open for 3 nights in a row, 4 nights in a row, depending. I know haunts now that are open like all week sometimes, like for the last 2 weekends or weeks of October. So having all those comebacks keeps everything super fresh and ready to go.
All right. Any other tips? Just one other like cool little gem from Amanda Reevenge.
Ooh, cool little gem. That's a good question. Oh, make a character for every scenario and don't be afraid to challenge yourself. I do a fun challenge every year that I kind of picked up from the Spooky World crew, so I kind of continue on the tradition, is I do a challenge called Costume Roulette, where I'll kind of reach into my costume box and pull out 6 things and try to make a character out of whatever I pull out. So sometimes I'll pull out like 2 pairs of pants. I'm like, oh, well, here we go. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So I try to pick a Sunday night when crowds aren't that busy and make an extreme character to try to challenge myself and push myself out of the box. So right now, my characters, I have 32 different characters I can be, and one can fit in any haunted house in the country. So that's kind of what I did. And be open to change is my next big thing. Some of my characters have evolving stories. So where one of my characters, Lily the Clown, where she started out one year is different from now, and every year she kind of has a slightly different storyline, and I use things that happened to Lily the previous year in the new storyline, so I add all that in. So she has kind of updated backstories and things that have happened that have changed her look, her outfit, her costume, and stuff like that. And most of my characters also have costumes that can also go out in the rain, as well as indoor costumes as well.
So where are you working this October?
This October, I am traveling, guest acting, and consulting, and doing some builds here and there, and writing some backstories for haunts currently. So I'm hopefully I'll be heading up to Fright Kingdom is kind of in my plans right now. That could be a thing. And also Midnight Terror in the Chicagoland area I'm hoping to head out to this year, because I love that crew. That crew is super fun. I had so much fun with them at MHC, so it's going to be awesome.
What other services? So name all the services that you offer through Amanda Reevenge Haunting.
So Amanda Reevenge Haunting, you can hire me to train your actors, train your management team, train your makeup team. You can also hire me for guest acting, guest makeup, backstories, so writing backstories for attractions or other characters, costuming, I can do classes on how to distress. I can do classes on basically anything that you want to know, besides a select few things that I'm still learning, trying to get down. I can also do escape rooms. I do marketing. I do booth babying. So I go to conventions and I can work the booth that you have up and get people to. I can do it in plain clothes or in costume type of thing. What else do I do? I do so much. I'm really like a Jill of all trades.
What don't you do then?
Yeah, what don't I do? I'm not a janitor. That's one thing. I don't do custodial work, so.
And you don't work the fry machine.
Yeah, I don't cook. I burn cereal. There you go.
Where can people contact you to get a hold of you for your services so they can hire you out and have you come down and fix their shit?
So if you want to hire me, right now I'm in the process of fixing my website, but hopefully it'll be back up here in a week or so. It's www.amanda REEVENGE, Reevenge, haunting.com, or on Facebook at AmandaRevengeHaunting.com, 2 E's in that revenge again. That's the quickest way to message me to get a response.
All right, Amanda, you have a kick-ass haunting season.
Yeah, have a kick-ass Rocktober. It's Rocktober time, guys.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Hashtag haunt life.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.